Hi guys, welcome to Becodewala. I welcome you to my new amazing tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to learn how to deploy a MERN stack application, right? And we are going to deploy on a Vercel and the render, both things we are going to use. So don't worry, and each and every step I am going to explain you so that you didn't find difficulty while building and deploying your project. So here in the last part I have explained how to we have created our this front end and back end both in the last tutorial. If you have not watched the tutorial, go and check out my channel, search Becodewala to do MERN application, you will get the project tutorial, so you can go and check it out. So in this tutorial we are going to learn how to deploy this full stack MERN stack application on the Vercel and render. We are going to see both of them. So if you are new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe us. So first of all we will see our files. So in the last tutorial that we have built out this project, in that we have created a two folder, backend and frontend. Backend, right here we have written all the backend code, and here we have written the frontend code. I have imported my both the files in our VS Code, and I have started my server, and see that both are running fully correctly. You can see that, and you can see that the project is running on the localhost 5173, right? So to deploy or like this backend, so here env file, so this is the env file where our jwt secret is there and mongodb uri is there, right? So here one more thing we have to add in our uh, like in the env, but we are not going to add here. I am going to directly add here only. If you want to add, suppose if you want to add here, you can go client url, and here you can see the client url. What is the client url value? Our client is running on this localhost, so just create .env file and paste the localhost url. Suppose if you deploy your client url, the front end client url is the front end where your front end application is running, right? The react application. So here the client url, so we have to paste here so that it will access our backend code, right? So here in the server.js, here is the main file. Here we have to use the course. So when you deploy your react application, we will not able to log in, we will not able to access anything. So the course error will show in your console if you not use this course middleware, right? So you will find in the console this error if you did not added the course error. So in the course middleware we have to define the origin. So here is the client URL origin and credential true. So we'll allow this who has the authorized user, right? That way when we are fetching in our store in the slice or slice, we have passed the credential. So with credential true, right? And here is the credential. Where is your server.js? So here server.js, here we have a credential true, and here also with credential true, right? While fetching. So this is the two important thing we have to notice while deploying your react application to access any data from our backend, right? And here is the client url, right? And here is the env file that we have to use while deploying your backend, right? So don't copy my env file, create your own mongodb uri that I have taught you how to create in the backend. You can go and check out the backend tutorial that I have uploaded related to this project. And here is the jw secret to decode your j token, right? And here is the client url, right? Now let's go for the front end. And front end we have to use this with backend url. So because here our on the localhost 5000 our server is running. I see in the below terminal server is running on the 5000 and the front end running on the 5173, right? So in the env, that this is the backend url that we are using to get the task slice. You can see that the task slice is getting on the backend url API task, that we the URL that we define in our backend while building your REST API. If you don't know about this, go and watch my previous tutorial. Will come to know what is this all these things. So here the backend URL. So in this backend URL, the that we have imported from our .env, and here we are using import.meta.env with backend URL. We are using with, right, to create our reactor. So that's why we are using this type of notation to import. And here, while importing env in your backend, we are using process.env, and here we are importing .env to access your env files. But in the front end we don't need to install .env. Here just write import.meta.env with backend URL, right? And here in our server just import your like .env, and this will access your env files that we are defined here, right? This will access this file, what are the env values, and it will use here. So here in the origin, in the course, we are passing two things called origin. Here we are allowing our backend data, right? And here the credentials too, right? So let's deploy one by one. So to deploy, we have pushed this code on the github already, and if you don't know how to push code on the github, you can go and watch my tutorial. Here is our github. So how to push code on the github, like in the and my backend part I have shown you. You can go and check it out. Otherwise you can go in my channel, I have shown you how to deploy react application. In that time I have shown you. So let me zoom a little. So here how to deploy how to push your code on the github. Git init. So initialize git add dot to add all the files. And one more important thing, when we are pushing your code to like github, don't push node modules and env files. So how we can ignore this file? And we to ignore this file, we have to write in dot ignore file. Create a dot ignore file in your main backend route. So backend file, we are in backend folder, we have to create a dot ignore file, and in this we have to pass this, write the name of the .env and node modules file name. So here you can see that we have written, because we don't want to post this on the github, right? So don't post your .env and node modules on the github. So that's why you are written in the ignore file, right? Similarly, when you are pushing code on the front end, don't push your node modules and .env on the github. So we can write here the node modules and .env that we don't want to push on the github, right? So this is one more important thing you have to notice. And we have deploy. You can see that how I have deploy all this. We have to add our origin, then git push hyphen origin master. So if you don't know, you can watch my tutorial, or otherwise you can see this screenshot to how to deploy your react or any backend. So you can go and see the this backend code. In this I have pasted the screenshot how to push your code on the github. Otherwise you can go on my channel, and you can check out the tutorial that I have given. Here you can go and check out my on my channel here how to deploy react application. I have explained in the very detail. Is that half an hour video, so it is in very detail. You can go and check out this to deploy your react application on Netlify or Vercel. So here we are deploying our merge stack, right? So after, like, we have posted our code on the github, right? To do front end, to do MERN backend. So one by one we are going to. So after deploying your code on the like github, right, we have post our this front end and backend file both on the github, right? So push on the separate repo, right? So create a two repo for this, so it will be very easy to manage. And after this, go to the vercel.com. So here is the vercel.com, right? So go and search vercel.com. If you have not have an account, create an account. And after this you will find a add new project. So here I am going to add new project, and I have also added my github. So if you not added your github, you can add your github here. So when you add your github, you will see all this import git repository. So we are going to import to do MERN frontend. So we are going to import this frontend, and here it is asking for the .env files, right? So here in the .env files, what we have to give? So in the .env we have to give the backend URL, but this is the local backend URL that is in the .env, but we have to give the URL that on which the our server is deployed. So when you deploy your server, that time will give the this URL, the backend URL. So we are just deploying our this to do MERN frontend. The frontend part we are deploying in the Vercel, right? Now let's come to the render. So because Vercel is the serverless, right? So you will find some error while pushing your backend code of the Vercel, and to fix that we have to write a vercel.json file. We have to configure, right? So we are not going to see that part, that is very complex. So we are going to deploy our backend on the render.com. So login with our GitHub. I am going to sign in with my GitHub so that it can access my all the repo, and I can deploy my backend on the render. So when you log into your render, right? So on the dashboard we see that it has been deployed. Congratulations, you have just deployed project. You can continue to the dashboard, and you can go and see this link. So here you can see that the domains, you can see the this domain our the you can see that the front end has been deployed, but we have to link our like backend, then only I will able to log in, right? So we'll deploy backend on the render.com. So add new project if you're not login and click on web services. So here I have to click on web services, right? First of all, we have to go to the render.com, login with our GitHub. I have logged in with my GitHub already. So go and log in with your GitHub so that it will able to access your repos, and click on web services, add new project and new web services that I have shown you, right? And search for your repo that you want to deploy. So I am going to deploy your backend. So to do one backend, this repository I am going to deploy. So this is my backend code, right? So after this, when you deploy this, it automatically fill all the fields like to domain node. We are going to use master in the master repo, right? And npm install to install your repos. So here node index.js to start our server. So you can write your node mon as a, if you have configured here in our package.json, right? And npm run dev also you can write. So no need to change, it will run as a node index.js also. So but here one more issue, but we have a server.json, right? This is the issue, right? So the here it is asking to start your server. Here it has recommended node index.js, but here is the file, the root file we have to write. So here root file is your server.js, right? Server.js. So don't write check your the root file. So here we'll write server.js, server node server.js, right? So write your like the main root file. Otherwise you can write npm run dev also, so no issue with that, right? So I'm going to select the this free one. So it will provide 512 RAM, right? And after selecting this free version, I have to copy the .env files of our backend. So here are .env files of the backend. We'll copy this and we will paste it here. But in the client URL, here is the local host URL where our front end is deployed. But we have to copy this like front end URL that where we have deployed the Vercel, right? And write here to the Vercel.app. So don't write slash or slash login anything. So dot Vercel.app up to the main link that we have deployed. Here is the MongoDB URI, and here is the DWT secret, and click on deploy services, right? And name is already in use. So we already have or use this name. So I'll just write Becodewala. So I'll change this name and now you click on deploy web services. So let's wait for the deploying our web services. That is our backend GitHub repo, right? So let me deploy all these things. So here it is deploying our backend URL, right? Uploading build file and build successful. You can see that the build successful. So here you can see that our project is live right now. You can see that the project is live right now on the this URL. So copy this URL and you have to paste it, and I will just paste it here. So it will show cannot get, so no worries, we will just copy this URL that where we have deployed our backend and link with our front end. So to link our front end we have deployed our Vercel. Click on setting, and after the setting click on environment variables. You can see that environment variable in the setting option you will got the environment variable, and here it is as in client. So but we have to use backend URL. So our backend URL, our name start with our, so in go to the front end we have used with backend URL. So right, copy this name only because we have used this name only in our front end to access the like the data from our backend. Here from the local host, right, we have to from the local host we have to replace with the render. So where we have deploy our backend, so here we have deploy our backend. Click on save, right, it will save the environment variable, right. Now here next to the localhost I try to access my account. Let's inspect. So when it try to log in it is giving this error, so we'll fix this. So before that, when you see, when you are on the this frontend URL slash login, so when I refresh it it will show not found. So this is happening because this path, so we have in this path, or when you try to access with the path, right, on the subdomain it will not work because it is our Vercel, right, and our React application. So to fix this, when you refresh on the slash login it should show me the login page, right, and it is working on the this path. But when I refresh with this path, so it is not showing, right. So we will fix this. So to fix this we have to configure our Vercel.json on our front end, right. So to fix this, that when we refresh read, right, it is not showing not found. So to fix this we will create a Vercel.json in our front end. In our front end we have to create Vercel.json. We have to configure Vercel.json. So here you have written the source slash path destination index.html. So we have to configure with this. So we'll find this code on the GitHub. So I'll just post this code, right. I'll just post this code. So I'll close my server right now and git init. How to push your code on the GitHub? Git init, git add, git commit -m, and here we can write like Vercel configured, right, and now we have to push, right. So git push -u origin master. So I have put my Vercel.json, but it's showing we have to pull our git. So git pull, if you find this error you can see that it is showing we have to, before pushing we have to pull our GitHub repo. So git pull, where we have to pull origin master, there we have deploy we have push our code on the GitHub, right. So we will first uh, fetch route. So we'll first we'll pull our GitHub repo using git pull origin master, and then we will push our code. git push hyphen u origin master. So we have pushed our code on the github, right, successfully. Go and check out on my github. Here in the front end we'll see the commit. Let me refresh the git front end and you'll see that the 4 commit and 1 commit right now. You can see that now. And we have added the Vercel.json, right? And as we push our code, we made changes on github. It is showing 13 seconds also. You can see that it is redeploy with our merge or master branch, right? We have all we have just pushed it, right? So it again it will redeploy, it will rebuild, right? So here is the rebuild. And now when I try to refresh, let me refresh this. So it is, see, it is not showing the page not found on the slash login. So this is the one more important thing that I taught you. So know how fix this in the version.json. So keep learning. So we have addressed this issue, right? And I try to log in, right? Here at the rate gmail.com, password 123456 123 4 5 6. So creating account, and here when we create our account, right, so it is asking from this origin it has been blocked course policy. You can see that I have modified my course here, right? And here I have written a better configuration for our course, and here we have passed the localhost, right? And now our front end is deploying on this path. So I'll copy the front end, I'll remove all these things, right, and I will paste it here. If you find course error, you can configure manually here also, and we can push our code on the github right now. So let me push git init git add git commit hyphen m and course fixing and git push hyphen u origin master. So we have to pull our git before pushing. Pull origin master. Now we will push our code, right? So our code has been pushed to the github. Go and check it out. So refresh. You can see that the 4 commits, and just now we have made the changes to our server.json course config that. So you can see that now the course error has been fixed. No course error is showing. Before it was showing the course error, right? So we have manually configured in our server.json. If it is not working, you have to manually configure your server.json like this, right? Here is the course configuration. So I will give this code on my github. You can just go and copy and paste and modify your the this localhost for as a localhost. And for the production we can use here the front end where our front end is deployed, and we have to do in the your main file the server.json, right? So now in no course error. So now it is showing one more error, cannot get API dash unauthorized, right? So it is showing unauthorized. Why it is showing unauthorized? So user is there, theme is dark, cookies, no cookies is present. So no cookies created, right? So here when we here we have changed our same site to none, right? Here we have changed our same site to none because when we logged in, right, when we logged in, right, it is showing unauthorized because it is not able to access our JWT token from the front end, right? The backend front end, it is like on the different side, right? And here before we use same site strict, we have used strict before, right? so change here to none, right? And then push your changes to the github and wait for 2 to 3 minutes. It will deploy and it will rebuild, and after this the issue will be fixed, right? So this is the changes that we have to make. Same site to none, capital N O N E, none. So we have to make these changes, push to the github whatever the code you have changed. Now when you try to create, it will create like coding learn with Becodewala, and select the date and create the task. So it will create the task coding. You see that you can mark as a complete, right? See, incomplete mark. So you can go and check out. So here you can go to the application, right? Our user information is there. In the cookies also we have a JWT token. Before the JWT token, this is the for the uh, localhost, and you can see that the JWT token is there, right? So before it was not showing the JWT token because we have used same site to strict, right? So do that change, and one change we have done before, right? Here in the course we have made the course like this. To fix the course issue we have fixed manually, right? If you show the course error, fix manually. And here I have written my like front-end URL where our front-end is deployed, and push changes to our GitHub, right? Here we have push our change to GitHub, and if you have connected your GitHub, right, on the Vercel, right, so it will automatically make changes and it will redeploy, right? So after redeploying, you wait 2 to 3 minutes. When you push some changes to the GitHub, it will take some time to deploy and make changes. Now you can go and check out on your deployment URL to see how your project, and anybody you can go and check out with this link. Anybody can access with this link my this whole to do application. You can go and check out in your phone, your mobile phones, and your laptops, anywhere, and it is fully responsive, right? You can see that it is fully responsive, so you can go and check out. So I will revise one more time to how to deploy MERN application. So first of all, we have to create two files, backend and frontend. In the backend, we have to deploy separate repo. We have to create two repo, backend and frontend on the GitHub. Post your code on the GitHub, and before posting your code to the GitHub, you have to ignore this file node-modules and .env. .env is the secret file. Node-module is the that is the very weak file that we don't want to post on the GitHub. That will create on the when you deploy your application, it will create it during the build time, right? So don't push this to code. We have to make a .git ignore file, write this to folder name so that it will be ignored. And you know, right, how to push your code on the GitHub, right? And I have made a video on my YouTube channel. Go and check how to deploy React application. There I taught you also how to push your code on the GitHub. Right here in the front end also, when you are pushing your front end, post to the different repo, right? The two repo we can, one for the backend, one for the front end. And here the two folder we have to ignore, node modules and .env. That node modules and .env written we have name in our .ignore file, and it will be ignored. So when we post this to go to like Vercel, so deploy your front end on the Vercel, or otherwise you can go and deploy here on the like render also, right? So to deploy on the render, click on static site and deploy your front end. And for the backend, you have to click web services. When you click on web services, you have to select your repo and paste the .env file, and we have to select a free plan, right? So free plan we have to select while deploying on the like render.com. Your deploy your backend on the render.com and the front end on the Vercel I have deployed. And here we have to change our setting. So here in the environment variables, here we have to change our backend URL. So this is the backend URL where we have deploy, right? So when you go to the this backend URL, so this is the backend URL we get from this that we have deployed. So this is the backend URL that we deploy on the render.com. We have to copy this and we have to paste it with this backend URL here. Don't write slash or anything. So just copy the same .com, right? Render.com. And here also in the .env environment variables. Here we have to write client URL. Client URL is the front-end URL. The front-end is deploy on the Vercel. This is the Vercel URL. So we have to deploy, make your Vercel URL. So here front-end is deploy. So backend deployment URL on the front end and the front end deployment on the back end. So that's then only it can access. And here in our server.json we have made changes, right? It was giving core 0, so use this configuration. And here I have made it the two URL origin it can access, like localhost and the that where I have deployed my front end, this front end URL on the server. You have to make this changes on the server. Then one more thing we have made changes, right? Here we are using same site strict, right? So don't use strict, because when you use strict we have to rely on the same site, but we are using different sites, right? So we have to write none. So one is our backend is on render and our front end is the Vercel. So that's why you have to write same site none. Otherwise if you write strict you will not able to access your data. So this is the changes that the thing and point we have to notice while deploying your like a MERN stack application, right? So hope you guys like my detailing explanation how to deploy. And one more thing we have seen, right, in the we have created a Vercel.json in the front end, right? So that when we refresh right here, suppose I go to the profile where before when we are refreshing our slash profile it was showing like not found, because this path we have to configure. Whatever the path we get we have to configure, right? So we have configure the slash path here in the Vercel.json, because our front end is deployed on Vercel. That's why I am using Vercel.json configuration in the front end, so that when user will refresh on the slash profile, so it will not say page not found error. So we have fixed this also. So you can go check out the full stack MERN application, right, that we have built and we have deployed, right? And we will get this link. You can go and copy, or you can type your this link on your mobile phone, laptop. You can access this front end, right? You can go and check out and create your task, right? So create your own project, build your own MongoDB, right? Build your own projects using Munstack. So hope you guys like the explanation of my Munstack application deployment, right? So thanks for watching. We'll meet in next video with a new amazing tutorial, and please give a star on my GitHub, right? So thank you.